Today's episode is brought to you by Henshaw Trailer Sales of Richland, Iowa, the Packwood Locker, Smithburg Auto of Fairfield, Iowa, and the Cedar Rapids Titans Arena football team that you can hear starting Friday night or Sunday at 5 as they take on the Midwest Raptors. That'll be on our YouTube channel. We've got Coach Wilson of the Fort Madison Bloodhounds, who just won a couple games in a row. Welcome to the program, Coach.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Well, you had a couple back-to-back wins. You get a conference win against Washington, I believe, on Friday. And last night you picked up a win against a highly ranked and team with a great record in Centerville. Can you tell our listeners, just kind of give us a brief little synopsis of what happened in both of those games?
Yeah, I'll start with the Washington game last Friday at their place. Mind you that Washington beat us 86-65 the first time we played them at our house, gave up 27 points in 3 of the 4 quarters and whatnot, but really came in, focused defensively, more so on number 4, Nick Stone, for them. Kind of denied him, played a denial defense with him all game, tried to limit his shots and his catches and things like that. It was a great game. We came out, led pretty well the whole way for the game. We outscored them 15-11 in the first quarter. And then in the second quarter, it was kind of an ugly quarter for both teams as we got outscored 8-6. But we were up 21-19 at halftime. And then, second half, we just kind of, went back and forth on the third quarter. And then fourth quarter, we outscored them by 9 and ended up winning by 10 points. But Darius Foy instantly had a big game. Instantly in the first quarter, we ran a set for him to get started. He missed a shot, but he got 4 offensive rebounds, I think, on the first possession before making a layup. He really got going early on, played a really good game, his best game of the season. He had 19 points and 18 rebounds, 10 of those on the defensive end. And then Nolan Guzman had 19 points, hit a couple threes, 7-7 at the free throw line, had 6 rebounds. And then we had some balanced scoring from there. Jonah Tackett had 7, Aurelio Wakindi had 6, Lucas Helmick had 4. So just a real good defensive game for us. Again, we talked about Nick Stone, and taking him away was a big plan for us. He scored 7 points. He hit a 3 in the third quarter, and that was it in the second half. But we did struggle guarding Cale Williams and Drew Conrad. They combined for 26 of their 45 points. But again, on the road at Washington on senior night, and we played really well and took care of business and did some good things, and happy to get another conference win and a road win this season.
Well, that's outstanding. Now, the beginning of the year, you seemed like you had some injuries and you had some people ineligible, but you've got the whole thing going. You got Nolan Guzman to kind of lead you there. What's been going on here lately that maybe was missing earlier in the season?
Yeah, Nolan's been a great leader all year. He's led us in scoring, I think, about every game. But, Darius is a big key, and as long as he's not in foul trouble, he's going to help us at 6'9" on the inside. He can do some different things, set some good screens, rebounds, and whatever. But really, it's just some role players. Lucas Helmick, he struggled early on in the year, wasn't really playing hard, wasn't doing some things. But ever since Christmas break, Lucas Helmick's been a big change for us. He's taking care of the ball. He's getting very active in our press defensively, knocks down some open shots. And then Jonah Tackett and Aurelio Wakindi defensively, I would say they're probably 2 of the best defenders in the area. You can put those 2 kids on some guys that really, lock them down and control them and contain them and things. So really, it's been a group effort with all those guys that I mentioned.
Well, you mentioned that. Is it Tackett is his name?
Yeah, Jonah Tackett, he's the freshman.
Jonah Tackett. Well, I got an announcement we're going to make here. We tried to make an all-round guy freshman team. We can only get 4 players, but we're calling them the Fab Four, and this young man is on the squad. Scotty Melvin does nothing but rave about him. He seems to have been an impact player. Was he an impact player for you in the last couple of games where you won?
Yeah, he's been an impact player for us all year, to be honest. He's just a kid that has played a lot of high-level basketball over the last few years. And, he can shoot it, he can drive it. But, my big thing with Jonah is just him defensively and his mentality. He has no problem guarding the best player on the other team, and it doesn't matter how big or small they are and things like that. So he's been great to have, and he's only a freshman, and he's only going to grow and get a little bit bigger, and he's only going to get better and more consistent. As all freshmen, they go through high school basketball. It's a change and different things, but yeah, he's a great kid, and yeah, he's helped us win. Last night we were playing Centerville, and the Malachi Rice kids averaging 30 points a game, and
They're leading the
that was
state
Jonah's
too.
defensive assignment. Now didn't completely shut him out, but Jim held him 21. So, Jonah, Aurelio, and some of our guys did a really good job with that. But same thing with Aurelio Wakindi, very athletic, very strong, can guard anybody that I put him on, and those guys have really changed our defensive philosophy and our image of who we are.
Well, another player is going to be on the all-round guy team is Nolan Guzman. He's gonna get in there and that's with everybody. You know what I mean? That's 4A, 3A, 1A, everybody that I cover. He's one terrific player, and let's talk about his skills and what he means to the Fort Madison Bloodhounds.
Yeah, Nolan Guzman's a kid. He's pretty special, if I'm being honest, right? Thankful he's in a Fort Madison Bloodhound jersey. Been playing varsity for 3 years now. He has averaged double figures every single game, or I'm sorry, every single season. He's averaged double figures for us. He can score at all three levels. So, he gets to the basket very well. He runs transition very well. He really loves his mid-range game, but he also can knock it down from threes. He's shooting 32% on threes on the season. He's 81% at the free throw line, and then 18.7 points per game. And he just has a knack. He knows basketball. He's played it. He's played a lot of AAU travel ball over the years. He was real familiar playing with like the Julian Deers and Dayton Lamars, growing up and things. So, and he's a fun kid to have on your team and a kid that you want in your locker room and, want to set the example for the younger kids.
Well, it's been exciting to watch in the last 3 years for sure. Well, what about some of the other kids we haven't talked about? Tell me about some of the other starters and maybe some guys that come off the bench that make an impact.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned Lucas Helmick. He's a junior. He's about 6'3", 6'4", very long wingspan, can really shoot the ball. He does a phenomenal job in our press. When we go into full court press and put somebody on the ball, it's usually him. He's just, he's working really hard right now. I've come a long way since the beginning of the season. He had 3 threes last night. One was really big towards the end of the game that I think took us from a 9-point lead to a 12-point lead and things like that. So, Brody Hewlett comes off the bench, gives good minutes. He's dealing with a sore back right now. He was out our Mediapolis game as well. Reese Huey hasn't got a ton of minutes, but it's a kid last night. Played really well, got some deflections, some steals, knocked down a couple of threes. Those guys are all very valuable. Hunter Wiggins, he played last night. We had some foul trouble with the first half. So he came in and did some really good things. And then, someone I haven't really mentioned yet is Zeke Gross. He started every game this year. Actually, the only player in our program to have played all 19 games, and started every single one. Doesn't get a lot of credit, doesn't get a lot of shot opportunities, but he's shooting 37% on threes and just does some things that might be a little bit out of his skill set, but he doesn't say no. He doesn't back down from a challenge and things. So we do have a great group of guys off the bench that know their roles and fill their roles and really complement the Dariuses and Nolans.
Well, that sure is exciting. Well, tell me, did anybody have a real special game this year? Anybody, have a bunch of rebounds or blocks or big time points or anything?
Not that I can think of. I think Nolan Guzman, his career high or season high, I have probably both career and season high was 33 points. He scored that, I want to say, just a couple weeks ago against Burlington, maybe. But so from a scoring standpoint, he was not Burlington. I can't remember who it was, but he scored 33, and that's a season high for us from a scoring standpoint. Rebounds was Darius Friday night against Washington. He had 18 rebounds. Block wise, it's probably Darius. He had 3 or 4 against somebody earlier in the year. But yeah, that's probably it. Again, nothing real crazy. We've been pretty solid all across the way. Guzman's averaging 18, almost 19 points a game, so it's been pretty balanced.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a balanced approach. Well, what you got left on the slate? Is it you got any more games in the season?
Yeah, Friday night's a big one. It's our senior night. Keika will come in to our place. We'll have to see what we can do to contain Jackson Clark and his team. They're 15-3 on the season. They've already won the conference championship and things like that. So that'll be Friday night at home, and then we will end our regular season on February 19th over at Otumwa and finish with 4A at Otumwa prior to postseason play for the districts. So 2 games left. That'll be our 21 games on the regular season, and we'll find out next Monday what our district draw is. I'm guessing a 7 or 8 seed against a very tough 1 or 2 seed, and see what happens.
Well, I'm a big believer in it doesn't matter what you do all season long. What matters is how good you play down the stretch. And right now you're playing pretty good down the stretch. So it sounds like you got a big mountain to climb with a couple big schools coming in there. And gosh, you played the number 1 scorer in 2A, and now you're going to play the number 1 scorer in 3A.
Yeah,
back-to-back games, and well, you've already chopped that tree down halfway. You've already got 1 win against a ranked opponent with the number 1 shooter in the league, and I'm congratulating you. I can't tell you how proud I am of you guys for the big win that you got. Congratulations on having a couple of very talented players that made the all-around guy teams, and I'm wishing you good luck in the season and good luck in the playoffs.
well, thanks. Yeah, it's fun to get some kids some accolades and things, but it hasn't been a great season or as good of a season as we had wished or planned for. But that's why you play the games and you learn some things, and we're always very grateful for coverage and publicity that we can get for Fort Madison.
All right, thanks for being with us.
No problem.